Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Just in the last few weeks, we have had a Michigan judge proclaim that she is in fact racist.
Well, if you're black from any other country, you're doing way better. If you're an American black person, then you're a lazy piece of
I can honestly say that, okay, I'm not systemically racist, I'm a new racist. I never was, but now I am because you're shoving the down my throat and making allegations that you don't know about. You're telling me who I am and you've never met me. You.
We've had a sheriff in Ohio describe legal Haitian immigrants as locusts, the Democratic presidential nominee as a laughing hyena, and advocate for taking the names of her supporters. When people ask me what's going to happen if the flip-flopping laughing hyena wins, I say write down all the addresses of the people who had her signs in their yards. So when the illegal human locusts, which she supports, need places to live, will already have the addresses of their new families who supported their arrival. We've had the Fraternity Order of Police endorse a 34-time convicted felon over a former DA.
Our members have spoken, and it is my honor to share with you the overwhelming collective will of our membership. We are honored to have with us today the former and future President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and offer him our enthusiastic endorsement.
And those are just the stories that I could cover on this platform. I didn't even get to the NYPD attacking a man at a homeless shelter, a former NYPD officer running for office after she once handcuffed a baby. And this guy.
On Action News tonight is the arrest of a New York City police officer accused of shooting a man in Camden County in an apparent act of road rage. This the scene just moments ago in New York City. Officer Hugh Tran, shackled as he's escorted out of a New York City courtroom. Tran was arrested yesterday while on duty at the NYPD. He's now charged with causing this crash in Voorhees back on May 17th after prosecutors say he fired at another driver on Route 73 using his police-issued gun.
And that's just the NYPD. I can't imagine our criminal justice system has ever fallen this low. But it stands to reason when the Supreme Court is led by Clarence Thomas.
According to all the reporting we have, Thomas has been given gifts, both disclosed and more significantly undisclosed, to the tune of $4 million over the past 20 years. At least that's how much we know about as of now, thanks to some real dogged reporting by outlets like ProPublica. You can see in this chart just how much he's been given. Can you see Thomas there? You see where he is on the chart? Oh, yeah, he's there on the left. He's the huge red bar, and that's in comparison to the other justices.
Samuel Alito.
Now let that happen at his own home in one of the most fraught times in American history since the Civil War is it's just sad. And it shows how little respect he has for the institution. It shows how little respect he has for the law. It really does. It's disgusting. It's just disgusting.
I think the question is, how many MAGA battle flags does a Supreme Court justice have to fly until the rest of the court takes it seriously?
And John Roberts.
So Brian Fallon, here's the problem. Again, we don't know what we don't know. So a lot of this is covering the public's perception of the court. But here's what we're not going to do, at least here. We're not going to cover any more Supreme Court justices who give speeches bemoaning the 7% of Americans who trust them when they continue to ignore and defy all the laws of gravity about what makes any institution untrustworthy. It is a lack of transparency. It is this ruse that you can somehow police yourself, investigate your own leaks. It is this idea that you are above the law, which is how they all act. And it is this idea that they are this body that can say things before another branch of government, the Congress, that have no resemblance to what they do in their branch of government, the judiciary.
Now, quite appropriately, it would be that very Supreme Court that would squander Marcellus Williams' last hope for a stay of execution. Just imagine looking at these men and asking them to do the right thing. It's terrifying, right? Let's just go off what we know.
And then months went by with no leads, no anything to go on. Her family put up $10,000 as a reward for information that led to a conviction. And not long after that, an inmate named Henry Cole and Williams' girlfriend, Laura Asaro, named Williams as the culprit. At the time of the conviction, Williams had just started serving a 20-year prison sentence for robbing a downtown St. Louis donut shop. No forensics evidence tied Williams to the crime scene, but a jury convicted him of murder and burglary. They found all these fibers, all of these things, hairs, etc. None of them matched him. There was nothing in her home that tied him to ever being there, but he was convicted anyway. Williams' attorneys have argued that both informants stood to benefit from their cooperation with prosecutors and that their stories sometimes changed or conflicted with other details about the killing. Both of the witnesses have since died. There was nothing that linked him to this crime. There weren't witnesses that saw him, scaling the wall in the gated community, or evidence that he had been at a store nearby where it happened, when it happened. And there was no, like I said, DNA of his inside the house. What they have found since, however, is DNA testing found an unidentified male's DNA on the knife that was used. Doesn't match him, doesn't match the husband, doesn't match anyone who is known to be in that home. So almost certainly it is the killer's DNA.
I witnessed something that I've never seen before. The prosecutors, the people who put people in jail, came out and said, hey, he might not have done it. Can we just give him life in prison instead? They were denied. The family of the victim, he supposedly came out and said, hey, don't do it. And they were ignored. But why? Well, the answer is no one knows. But the story gets a little crazier than that. See, this isn't the first time he was supposed to be executed. Back in 2015, in the last minute, the governor of Missouri, this was in Missouri, by the way, comes out and says, stop. They found new evidence. He really might not have done it. So the governor makes a special council of judges to do an investigation. They said, okay, well, he might not have done it. We're making you a report, Governor. The governor says, great. But the governor resigns. A new governor comes in and he says, I don't want to see the report. You guys are all done. And he's going to be executed. So they went to the Supreme Court of Missouri. And the Supreme Court of Missouri said, let's just go through with it anyway. So the prosecutors came out and they did their own investigation and they said, wow, he really might not have done it. The trial was a mess, and I'm going to be frank here, racist. 11 white jurors and 1 black juror were selected in Missouri. A black juror was rejected because his hair was kind of messy and unkempt. He didn't look trustworthy. And most importantly, the DNA on the weapon did not match his. So the prosecutors go over to his team. They said, let's talk it out. What if we just give him a plea deal, life in prison, which would give everyone time to come together and figure everything out. But in what is being called a bizarre twist, a judge rejects it. He just says, no, we're going to go through with it anyway. Now, all people are asking for is time. They're not asking he walks out. They're just asking for time. And it would be one thing if his team was asking for this to be stopped, but if prosecutors, if representatives, if people, if the victims' families are asking for a little more time, then I think it warrants that.
Marcellus Williams was executed after spending over 2 decades on Missouri's death row after being convicted in 1998. Now, you are free to believe, looking at all the information in this particular case, that he is guilty. You are absolutely free to believe that. But what I also need you to tell me, and this is the more pertinent question, that giving the botching of the investigation on behalf of the police as well as the questionable prosecution, that a suitable case was made for his guilt to make you comfortable taking a man's life. That is what I want you to tell me. Also, obviously, we know how exactly this would play out with high-priced attorneys given this amount of ammunition to exonerate a client who didn't look like Marcellus Williams. Let's just make that clear. Now, speaking of which, a simple search will reveal that the kind of leniency that Marcellus Williams sought is actually easy to come by. For some, Missouri Governor Mike Parson pardoned more than 600 people in the 3 years up through the end of 2023. That was more than any Missouri governor since the 1940s. Those included Mike and Patricia McCluskey, who you might remember as the gun-waving St. Louis couple who pointed said weapons at social justice demonstrators. They also include former Kansas City Chiefs assistant coach Britt Reed, the son of Chiefs head coach Andy Reid, who was drunk in February of 2021 when he crashed his truck into two vehicles on the side of an exit ramp along an interstate near the Chiefs practice facility. 6 people were injured, including 5-year-old Ariel Young, who sustained a traumatic brain injury and was in a coma for 11 days. According to her family, Young continues to suffer memory loss and issues with speech and movement. And by the way, he's not done. Parson told KCMO radio host Pete Mundo, quote, "There's not a week that goes by that somebody's not reaching out to me about that issue, and we're going to see what happens here before long. I'll leave it at that. But I don't like where he's at. I'll just say that." But he wasn't talking about Marcellus Williams. He was talking about former Kansas City PD detective Eric DeValcanaire, who was found guilty in 2021 on charges of second-degree involuntary manslaughter and armed criminal action in the killing of 26-year-old Cameron Lamb. DeValcanaire is currently serving a 6-year sentence after that crime where he shot Lamb as he was backing his pickup truck into his garage. DeValcanaire, by the way, was the first Kansas City police officer ever convicted of killing a black man. And if Parson has his way, that will be for free as well. I just want you to think about the fact that it took this long for there to be a conviction for killing a black man in Kansas City, and the message that is sent when even that is something that goes unpunished if the governor has his way. Also makes a whole lot of sense why that FOP endorsement went the way that it did, considering that Trump is trying to give blanket immunity to police officers all across the country. So the message has been sent loud and clear. In order for any grift to truly be effective, you have to maintain suspension of disbelief. However, we have reached a point where people like Mike Parson have been so nakedly partisan in who they decide to favor and who they don't decide to favor that they have showed their entire hand. We are left with no conclusion other than the obvious, that this is a system that's not broken. This is a system that is working as intended. Because if the system was in fact broken and it was costing people their lives, like any organization, corporation in America would act swiftly in order to make sure that they close the loop on any potential liability. There's no concern about liability. There's no concern about right or wrong. There's no concern about any of that. That tells me that the system is in fact working in their mind. When you make it about left and right, rich and poor, black and white, then it becomes no longer about wrong and right. You no longer have any moral hill to stand on, which means you can also no longer talk to me about law and order. That's done. Don't quote me crime statistics or a fabricated narrative of a crime wave by fill in the blank non-white people. You tainted that with your actions. You made yourselves untrustworthy. And by the way, if you don't believe me, just listen to your boy.
You remember where David Muir tried to correct me when I said that crime is rampant like never before. He said, "Oh, no." He said, "Crime is going down." I said, "Where are you coming from?" And you wouldn't have to need a Bureau of Justice statistics to know that crime is worse than it's ever been. And I guess they probably watched the debate and they heard this foolish man, this foolish fool make that statement to me that no, crime is coming down. The FBI said it was coming down. The FBI defrauded everybody because what they did is they used statistics not including some of the worst areas and some of the worst cities. So the real numbers are from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, and they just released it. So I think they probably like me because they wanted to defend me from people that are not smart, from a guy who has good hair but not as good as it was 5 years ago, to be honest. And they just released brand new numbers just out last night, late, showing that since 2020, so this guy, David Muir, was correcting me, the FBI. Now, the FBI defrauded just like they defrauded on the jobs, 118,000 jobs.
Well, here's some statistics that aren't.
What's painfully obvious is that Charlie Kirk isn't interested in understanding the statistics he so carelessly misquotes. He's interested in making bad faith arguments, something that becomes even more obvious in his next point.
Blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Wrong again, and loud this time. If Charlie were interested in honesty, he would have mentioned the other 1350 statistic. Yes, black people are about 13% of the population, but make up 53% of all criminal exonerations. In fact, black people make up 55% of all murder exonerations specifically. Black people are more likely than any other group in this country to be convicted of crimes they did not commit. And then people like you have the nerve to parade these stats around as though they prove something. The reality is that you probably know these stats, but you leave them out on purpose.
Which brings me to my last point. In processing all of the information that I have just presented, we actually have people in this country, the talking heads at Fox News, OAN, and especially those black conservatives, that will look at all of this and still conclude that the real victim of a two-tier justice system is Donald Trump. I'm going to need you to tell me that again.
Whatever Allah determines, you know what I'm saying, I'm satisfied with it. Whatever, so I already been right there. At that moment, and I, you know what I'm saying, there's nothing changed about it. I'm still, like I said before, I don't believe in the system, the criminal justice system. I don't believe in it, you know what I'm saying, to that degree. But I know that it can be used for good as well. So if good come out of it for me and for my family and for all those that's been supporting me, then all praise be to Allah. There's a little supplication that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, he used to say, "Oh Allah, if life is good for me, then give me life. If death is good for me, then give me death." You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel. You know what I'm saying? I say the same supplication. So yeah, I'm at peace, of course.
Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I especially want to thank those of you that have been emailing me at reese@reesewaters.com. I do look at it, and I wanted to say I've taken a number of suggestions. Just in the past week, I think half the videos were suggested from emails that I received from you guys, so keep them coming. And just because I may not be able to respond doesn't mean that I don't see it, and it doesn't mean that it's not impactful, because the email and the feedback that I get from you guys shapes my perception of the people that are consuming my content. So it really does impact the direction that we take moving forward. So just because I may not respond to your email doesn't mean I don't appreciate it. So thank you guys very much. Of course, we have the website, reesewaters.com. There's some new merch on the website as well, so be on the lookout for that. And by the way, if you get some merch, if you get a shirt or hat or whatever the case may be, send me a photo of yourself with it. Maybe put in the title merch pick or something like that. I could think of a way better subject title. Those of you that have signed up for my newsletter, use the portal on my website. I appreciate you guys for doing that. There'll be a new newsletter that is going out shortly, and in it will be updates on channel membership. That's right, something that you guys have been mentioning to me for a long time. We're finally on the precipice of it, so you can get all the details and the membership. Again, you can sign up on my website or send me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. There is so much on the horizon, and I, for one, am extremely grateful that you're along with me on this ride.
I learned about it just a couple months ago. Maybe, the fact
that she's black, or that she's Indian.
The fact that she's black. I thought she was Indian until a couple months ago. Things change. I mean,
a lot of people. Well,
because if you follow baseball, Sammy
right.
Sosa kind of, you sometimes have to respect people. They change, right? So I thought maybe she was doing a Sammy Sosa the other way.
Yeah, Sammy.
Talking about somebody else turned black when he out here looking like colonial maple. Welcome to Racist of the Week. My name is Reese Waters. This is where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, racism. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page. And definitely leave me any possible suggestions for nominees in the comments or email me at reese@reesewaters.com. And shout out to all of our new members here on the channel. Today's nominee, Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump's racism is well documented.
Would you rather have the black president or the white president who got $1.7 billion off the price? I think they want the white guy. You know what look at my African American over here. Look at him.
Here's what bothers me about that. So let's say you have a liberal city, let's Los Angeles, San Diego, and they just decide we're going to get rid of that history. We got new history. This is America built off the backs of slaves on stolen land. And that curriculum comes in.
Then we don't send them money.
Oh, you know what? My bad. That last one was new. That was not an old clip. What exactly was the problem? You saying we not gonna let them teach history how it actually happened? Now, you guys, one of the things I say all the time is my favorite kind of racism is where you can go multiple choice on what exactly was the most offensive thing. In the case of Donald Trump, last time I was here, I believe 4 different times I went on a run of various offensive things he's done and said to disparage black people without a single moment being mentioned multiple times. And guess what? I didn't hit any of those. So this would be number 5. Only MAGA in 2024 can I go on 5 runs of racism with all new material for the man you've presented as our presidential nominee. Now, Donald Trump decided to go on the Patrick Bet David podcast, which I frankly was surprised at because they seem intent to try and hide him from now until the election. They've been canceling events left and right. And when he does show up to events, he has to be protected in such a way that he has to travel with his own contingent in order to pack the crowd.
The audience was stacked with Trump supporters. Now, Fox presented this town hall as just an all-women's town hall, general voters. Never in their press release did they say who was going to be sitting in the audience. But in reality, the room was not only full of Trump supporters, people who are voting for Trump, but also people who are officially part of Republicans' women's organization. In fact, the first person who asked a question, she presented herself as Lisa from Milton, Georgia. She's actually Lisa, president of the Fulton County Republican Women's Group. So she is essentially almost a Republican official. There was also, we saw people come up, wearing Trump pins. There was somebody who had an RNC delegate hat. But I think the most egregious thing that happened in this town hall was that in one of the questions by a woman named Alicia, in the middle of her question, she said the following: "I voted for you this morning. I hope they counted it," something along those lines. But Fox edited out those handful of words in her question. So in the broadcast, when all you saw was her asking a question. She did make a joke about how the opposition probably sees the room being full of domestic terrorists. But those handful of words in the middle of the question that took maybe all of, 5 seconds to say, those were selectively edited out. Why did Fox News do that? We asked them. They have not said anything back. Fox also edited out moments where the entire crowd broke out into chants of Trump, Trump, Trump.
But one thing that even your own supporters can't protect you from are your posts on social media, because we still get the wild stuff on Truth Social. And by the way, Trump, just don't say nice way or the hard way. Not with the 30. Just don't. Yeah, we need to get that taken down. And you know what? Somebody is eventually going to have to get his phone, because he going to mess around and hit up Stormy Daniels.
Well, now we have just learned, we have reported out 20 days. Here it is, 20 days before this election. We can report that he is once again trying to pay Stormy Daniels to be quiet ahead of this next election.
What we're going to see in the future, there's no way. No, I can't let you do that. So he's like, okay, I got to get back with him, So they want to cut some kind of deal where they silence you.
Don't they know that won't work?
It's not going to happen. Okay, it's not going to happen.
Just so you understand the level of which MAGA is carrying Donald Trump, they're out here giving him credit for the market while Biden is president.
Look at this market. The Dow scoring the 38th record close yesterday, now sitting at 43,077. What's your take in terms of allocating money right now? What do you want to do before the election?
You know, if you believe Trump will win, then you stay with financials and you stay with small caps. If Trump does not win, think about higher taxes and think about an even slower economy, because a lot of this stuff is not stimulative. It's going to slow things down even more regulations, less stimulus. So, you know, it's really, you've got to make a decision on who you expect to win. And I think that lead in, I mean, yesterday's performance was really about some swing in the polls.
Yeah. Do you think, investors are focused on this election and making bets around it?
Massively focused on the election.
And you think they think Trump will win?
I think right now that is the bet, yeah.
And that's why we're talking about record highs.
Exactly. Yeah. Because less regulation, more stimulus. You know, look, you can argue about tariffs a zillion different ways, but people expect that that's going to help America be more competitive.
Mark, you agree with that?
Without a doubt, yeah. And when you look at just the performance of Trump favored sectors. You look at energy, less regulation has done very well. You look at financials, have done very well, less regulation. Consumer discretionary, strong consumer, has done well. Crypto has done well. And Stanley Druckenmiller, I believe it was yesterday, said that the market right now is pricing in a Trump victory based on the performance of bank stocks and crypto.
Yes, and that Great Depression style crash that Donald Trump said was coming. That's no longer? That's not coming? Okay. All right. Cool. I'd love to see what they said that day. Now, there are many possible videos that I could have played for you right now just to properly showcase the degree of cognitive dissonance, the degree that they're willing to lie to you. But none are better than Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin when he decided he was going to tell Jake Tapper that Donald Trump's words were not Donald Trump's words.
You heard some of the language that Mr. Trump used over the weekend. What do you think of this idea of, quote, we have some sick people, radical left lunatics, and I think it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, the National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military. Is that something that you support?
Jake, first of all, thank you for having me. And I guess what I want to just make very clear is that it's my belief that what former President Trump is talking about are the people that are coming over the border, that in fact are committing crimes, that are bringing drugs, that are trafficking humans, and that are turning every state into a border state. And I'm a governor of a state that is not near the southern border, and yet I see the impacts of 10 million people illegally coming across the border every single day. 5 Virginians die on average from fentanyl overdose. We have folks that have crashed, the illegal immigrants that have crashed the front gate at Quantico in a box truck.
But that's not what I'm talking about, because he was talking about sick people, radical left lunatics who should be handled by the National Guard or the military. And then later on in that same speech, he said that one of the lunatics he addressed was Congressman Adam Schiff. That's who he was talking about using the National Guard and military against, radical left lunatics, enemy from within, people like Adam Schiff.
Again, Jake, I don't think that and again, I can't.
I'm just reading you his
speak
quotes.
For him, but I do think that you are misinterpreting and misrepresenting his thoughts. But
I'm literally reading his quotes. I'm literally reading his quotes to you, and I played them earlier so you could hear that they were not made up by me. He's literally talking about, quote, radical left lunatics, and then one of those lunatics he mentioned was Congressman Adam Schiff.
I wonder what Glenn Youngkin's internal monologue was like. Like, he didn't say that, did he? Did he say that? I can't believe he said that. No, he didn't say that. I think he might have said that. No, he didn't say that. Well, I can't say he said it. Did he say that? He said that? Oh. And if you're wondering, VP Kamala Harris can handle hecklers just fine.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
So Donald Trump loose on a podcast after Kamala Harris just laid fire to Fox News. This should be good.
Really like me. And I think black women do too. But they have a woman who is black, although you would say she's Indian, but she is black. But she really, a lot of people didn't know, which is true. But
I learned about it just a couple months ago. You know, the fact
that she's black,
yeah.
or that she's Indian.
The fact that she's black, I thought she was Indian until a couple months ago. Things change. I mean,
a lot of people. Well,
because if you follow baseball, Sammy Sosa kind of, you know, you sometimes have to respect people. They change, right? So I thought maybe she was doing a Sammy Sosa the other way.
Yeah,
around.
Sammy's changed.
Right.
People change.
If you remember Sammy Sosa,
he could hit the ball.
He could hit the ball, 66 home runs.
Seriously.
Yes. Yes, all those Indian Harrises that we see floating around America. And for you non-sports fans, by the way, this is Sammy Sosa. So he's saying that black men and black women really like him, but they have a black woman. And by virtue of the reason why he's turning the conversation here in his mind is, well, you know, they're going to vote for the black woman, which, by the way, takes you into Donald Trump's head. This is something that I've explained before. The reason of his obsession with her ethnicity is because he can't imagine black people doing anything other than voting for Kamala Harris because she's black, which totally obscures the fact that they voted for Joe Biden and they voted for Bill Clinton and they voted for Jimmy Carter. I mean, like, there's ample evidence to dispute this, but so much information can fit in his brain. So obviously that got knocked out. Obviously, this is also his second, third, fourth at bat with this Kamala birtherism whole thing, which speaks to the fact that only but so much information can fit in his brain. I think he kind of forgot that he didn't run this play before, and so he just decided he's going to run it up the flagpole one more time. He's like, have I tried birtherism? Because no, I don't think I've tried birtherism yet. That's crazy. How did I get to here and I didn't try birtherism? That's normally like the first thing I try. Yeah, Trump, it was the first thing you tried. And the third and the fifth and the last. I also want to send a shout out to Patrick Bet-David because it takes somebody on Trump's level of ignorance in order to bring his ignorance out. You know what I mean? Like that would have been just a moment and he would have went on to something else. But you talking about Sammy Sosa and this, that, and the other thing, which allowed Trump to expound a little bit more. So I appreciate that. If you would have been like slightly more sophisticated, like approaching a normal, like average level of sophistication, we wouldn't have gotten that video. So I appreciate him for that. I also would like to re-raise one of the things that I mentioned when we first started having this conversation. Is something that I feel like should be center to whenever we have these kinds of conversations, is the level of entitlement that it takes for you to make an issue of how somebody else identifies racially. Like I can mention Howard, I could mention Divine Nine, I could mention her relationships with the Congressional Black Caucus, all that. I don't need to. It is the entitlement for you to challenge how somebody else identifies. Because for you to say, I didn't even know that, I just learned that, is totally fine. Everybody isn't a Kamala Harris aficionado, Patrick Bet-David. But then when you start talking about Sammy Sosa, now you are making an issue of how she's identifying because of how you see things, when by your own admission, you were dealing with limited information. Just go with the fact that you had limited information and go about your business before you keep talking and you say something ignorant. You chose not to. But I don't want to get down on you too much because you continued to give us more Donald Trump racism. So shout out to you for that. And how Donald Trump gonna be out here talking about somebody else turned black when he out here looking like Colonial Maple? You know, people were talking about Colonial Maple. I thought maybe he might have been doing a Sedona Red or a Chestnut. But at the end of the day, I thought colonial maple. He went in and asked for colonial maple on his face, and he want to talk about somebody else turned black. Wild.
I kind of want to get your reaction on this talk that is given. Rob, if you can put that up.
And the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good because it was my economy. We had 75 straight months of job growth that I handed over to him. It wasn't something he did. I had spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts.
So how do you feel about this when you see him saying this last week?
I think he's angry. He pretends not to be, but I think he's an angry guy. He's a nasty guy. He's got a little bit of an edge, and he's angry about a lot of things.
Oh, okay. Obama is an angry guy and a nasty guy. Let's go through some of the clips and content that we've seen from Obama after he left the Oval Office. Now let's look at how Trump has spent his time since leaving the office. I swear, everything out of their mouth is projection. It is. They don't know how to do anything but project. I guess Trump can't imagine anybody actually leaving and not being an angry. He's like, well, I left and I was angry. Of course, I was angry when I was in the Oval Office. I was angry before I was in there. I'm angry all the time. So, of course, everybody else is.
I think he's angry. He pretends not to be, but I think he's an angry guy. He's a nasty guy. He's got a little bit of an edge, and he's angry about a lot of things. You look at what happened with Biden, and you look at what he did with Biden. He really hurt Biden because I'm not sure he wouldn't have imploded anyway. We had the debate, and he was down quite a bit, and they walked out, and they just took it away from him. I mean, if you think about it, they stole the election from a sitting president. That's, I always say coup, but the word coup, I don't think it's accurate enough. They just walked in and took it away from him. That is a legendary thing. He didn't want to give up. He's angry now. They're all angry, the Democrats, if you think. She's angry. They're both angry.
Okay, so as I just said, there's nothing that ever comes out of their mouth that isn't projection. So he's talking about Obama being angry and then talking about Joe Biden. Sounds like somebody still hasn't gotten over that they're not running against Joe Biden. Tell me you angry without telling me you angry. I mean, of the last 1,000 times that somebody has mentioned Kamala Harris taking over the nomination from Joe Biden, the last 1,000 times that's been mentioned in public, 998 of them have been from Donald Trump. Ain't nobody talking about that, but 998 of them have been from Donald Trump. The other two, I'm guessing, is probably from Kamala Harris's kids, mad that they can't act up right now. Because I would be.
No, I watched that last week, and I think he spoke down to black men. I thought it was terrible the way he spoke to them.
He spoke down to black men. Ooh. So can only black men speak down to black men? Is that what I'm gathering? Like, are white men capable of speaking down to black men? Because the only way that I can process that you think somebody else spoke down to black men is that white men are not, it's not possible for them to speak down to black men. That's just how black men deserve to be addressed, apparently.
But
you think it's effective? You think he still carries the same stick as he did, maybe 8 years ago or 12 years ago?
No, I don't think it is. No, I don't think he does. I think people have gotten smart.
You know what the conversation I really wanted to have is Donald Trump and Patrick Bet-David discussing how black people receive Obama. That is a conversation that's what I really wanted to know. I wanted those two guys specifically to be able to tell me how I should receive Obama, because he's talking down to black men.
And no, I don't believe he does at all. I hadn't seen him. He's changed a lot. Visually, he's changed. I like to say visually as opposed to from the look standpoint, because, of course, looks don't matter anymore in politics. You know, you say looks don't matter. It doesn't make any difference, right? Because we want to be politically correct, but they do matter. But he's changed. His look has changed actually quite a bit. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Okay, so now that we have established that you are not capable of talking down to black men, any more bullets in the gun?
That's a big thing. They've been trying to get it. You know, I saw a guy named Van Jones. He's I don't think anybody knows who he is. He's a commentator for CNN.
Oh, Van Jones. Oh, bro.
I don't think anybody knows who he is. He's a commentator for CNN. And he came to see me in the White House, and he was crying.
I remember that.
He was crying because I bring these things up because it's a lack of, I don't know, there's something about loyalty. You help somebody with something. He came in with a fairly large group of people, mostly black people, and he was devastated because criminal justice reform wasn't going to happen. Obama didn't do it, and didn't even come close. Bush didn't try. Nobody was going to do it. And I'm the only one that could have done it.
Okay, let's be accurate about this. Trademark Abby Phillip. Let's be accurate about this. Criminal justice reform is something that Trump likes to beat his chest about, and certainly all of the black MAGAs and certainly the black conservatives love to beat their chest about. The reality is that criminal justice reform had been coming for a long time. It's something that Congress was actually working on, and it was something they were unwilling to pass during Obama's administration. Oh yeah, you remember all of that log jam when they refused to go along with any of his agenda, when they had a temper tantrum over having to deal with the first black president? 'Cause I do. Yeah. So let's stop with the Trump came in by himself and wanted to make, no, we're not doing that.
Obama didn't do it, and didn't even come close. Bush didn't try. Nobody was going to do it. And I'm the only one that could have done it. And he was with a group of people that they were begging to do it. They were 5 votes short.
He said y'all were begging. He said y'all were begging. He said Van Jones came in crying with a group of mostly black people, and they came in begging. It sounds like a scene out of Huck Finn that he describing right. To me, it sounds like a scene out of, Mark Twain could have wrote that. It sounds like a scene out of Huck Finn. Like, were they barefoot too? It kind of reminds me of the way that he characterizes HBCUs trying to get the funding back that was taken out and zeroed out of the budget. It kind of reminds me of HBCUs going to try and get their funding back. The way that he characterizes the way that they came to him, it's begging. I think he used the word begging there as well. But yeah, Obama be talking down to black people though. I remember Van Jones came in barefoot with a couple of pies, and he cried into the pies, and it was a magical tear. And I said, well, aren't you a special need?
And they had to be conservative votes because there was nobody else left, right? And I guess you needed the 61 or 60 something, maybe 66, but 61 is a hard vote. And he made a plea to me, Van Jones, total sleazebag. He made a plea to me to help him and help this group of people.
Wait. What'd you call him, Trump? What'd you call him?
And he made a plea to me, Van Jones, total sleazebag. You could have made your point. You didn't. Oh,
Hey, Van, I hope you're proud of your work. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. I hope you're proud of your work. Well done there. I haven't heard sleazebag since my childhood. Yeah, that might be the one good thing from this interview. We need to bring sleazebag back. All right, now that we have officially made your stance on race clear, Donald Trump, you got anything else you want to say that would put off anybody remotely on the fence?
I think Zelensky's one of the greatest salesmen I've ever seen. Every time he comes in, we give him $100 billion. Who else got that kind of money in history? There's never been. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean I don't want to help him, because I feel very badly for those people. But he should never have let that war start. That war's a loser. Ukraine, remember, is not Ukraine anymore. Every city almost is knocked down to the ground. Mm-hmm. All those beautiful golden domes are laying on their side, smashed to smithereens. There's no city. You go into the city and every building is demolished. It looks like a demolition crew went through. They've been hit by missiles. This should have been settled before it started. It would have been so easy. If we had a president with half a brain, it would have been easy to settle. And I'm not, everyone will say, oh, this is terrible. He's blaming Biden. Well, I do largely blame Biden. If you watch his words were the exact opposite of what he should have been saying. Mm-hmm. He instigated that war.
Very solid, very solid. Let's go ahead and fluff Putin on the way out, just in case you weren't entirely sure on where he stood. Now, in the aftermath of that, I need to holler at all of my black conservatives and my black MAGAs. This your mans? Huh? This your mans? And I've called a number of you guys out by name. Why don't we bring somebody else into the crew? I feel like dragging somebody new. Hey, Charles Payne. Hey, come on down.
It's insulting. It is so insulting. If a white politician did this, I think we'd all be up in arms. This is so insulting to black men, black people, and how far we've come as a nation overall. This has been an embarrassment. Just total embarrassment.
Offensive is exactly right. That is everything that I just saw. Oh, he was talking about Kamala? He was talking about Kamala? How? Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and also a special thank you to all of our subscribers and members here on the channel. I'm just about to roll out the first batch of badges and emoji, and I'm taking your suggestions on what you think would look nice in the chat or look nice next to your name when you leave a comment. Email me at reese@reesewaters.com and let me know what your suggestion would be. We are on the precipice of 200K. What do? We throw a party? We do a special live? You know what? I'm gonna surprise you. Yeah! Anything else I missed? Yeah, she got some more jail coming. I think she parked in a handicap spot out front. Give us some more time. Hi, my name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. And special shout out to all of my brand new members. This is Who Raised Y'all, where we spotlight those specific individuals doing their part to make our country worse. You know, the kinds of people that'll be asking to speak to the manager at the pearly gates. Today's nominee, former Colorado County Clerk Tina Peters. Now, Peters, who espoused the false conspiracy theory that Trump lost the 2020 election due to ballot fraud, was sentenced Thursday to 9 years in prison for crimes related to a breach of her county's voting system. 9 years? Good Lord, that's a lot of group showers. And to think, it was all good just a year ago.
All right, Tina.
give him the information. This is a rock star.
Right, she is.
In fact, apparently it was all good just a few weeks ago.
What do you think the chances are that you and or Donald Trump are in prison a year or two from now?
Well, I'll tell you, if I thought I was going to prison, I would probably be on the beach somewhere.
And now look at you.
Donald Trump, please save me. Please save me, Donald Trump, please.
That's right. The only thing that can save you now is a Trump pardon, but what can you do to help him?
With a felony, here I am standing for voter integrity and voter truth, and with a felony, I can't even vote.
No, I'm sorry, Tina. Yeah, them's the breaks. If you can't help him, he won't help you. We have almost 80 years of evidence to that fact. Huh? Oh, the hostages in January 6th? Yeah, a lot of them still in jail. Oh, why he plays them at the rallies? Oh, yeah. No, he does that because he wants to continue to assert that he did not lose the election. That is not for them. That is for his ego. That is why they still hostages. By the way, the person who used that badge was affiliated with Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow, and a leading proponent of the claim that Trump's defeat for the second term was due to ballot fraud. Now, if you're like me, you're thinking, well, why isn't he being held accountable? Oh, don't worry. He gonna get his.
Mr. Lindell, how much have you raised for Tina Peters' legal defense fund?
I just put all the money in myself.
How much is it?
I don't know. I probably put in 3, 4, 5, maybe $800,000 of my own money.
$800,000 of his own money that he threw away on Tina Peters' defense. Man, that is a lot of pillows. They gonna have to start selling those pillows in commissary to make that money back.
That's why I invented MyPillow.
And now this man can't even walk around looking like himself.
257,000 votes. This happened last week. A judge ruled in Georgia.
I would also be embarrassed. I can't fault him for that, actually. Now, Peters, who had requested probation, told the judge before being sentenced, "I've never done anything with malice to break the law. I've only wanted to serve the people of Mesa County." And apparently, by people of Mesa County, she means one person in Mesa County. It never ceases to amaze me the disconnect that happens with people who engage in this kind of behavior, yet always want to assert American idealism and American exceptionalism. You always want to say that you can do what you want to do for the greater good and you shouldn't be subject to the tyranny of the deep state, etc., 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 QAnon conspiracy theory. But yet, this is the greatest country in the world because we are by the people and for the people. Also, special shout out to Mark, one of my subscribers and members, who emailed me and made sure I didn't miss a moment of this story. Like this part.
Okay, Randy, put your cup down and turn around. Ma'am,
Let go of me. You let go of me. Let go of me. Let go of me. Let go of me. No. Let go of me. It hurts. Let go of me. Give me my shit.
Do you understand?
Stop it! No, let go of me! Yes, you are, Caleb. Give me my key to my car. Give me my key to my car. Give me my key to my car. Give it to me. Give me my key.
Step outside for me, please.
Take my purse. Let go of me. You're hurting me. And I'm going to show all the bruises that you put on me.
So if you're not going to cooperate, you'll be charged with obstructing.
Let go of me.
You understand that?
You let go of me now.
No, ma'am.
You're bruising me. Let go
Stop
of me.
pulling against us.
I'm not pulling against you. Let go of me.
Stand up like an adult.
Shut up. What an thing to say to me.
You know what, Mark? I think I might have missed something. Mark, you got any more angles?
Let go of me! Let go of me! Let go of me! Oh no! Let go of me! It hurts! Let go of me! Give me my teeth! Stop it! No! Let go of me! Yes, you are! Give me my key to my car! Give me my key to my car! Give me my key to my car! Give it to me! Give me my key!
There it is, but I can't figure out why she didn't just comply. You know, like why treat our public servants in such a disrespectful way? You know, I guess that's how they was raised. You know, I guess it was how that was raised. You know, just that issue with it happens young. It happens with them young. But ultimately, I know what y'all came for: the sentencing and Judge Matthew Barrett. Take it away, Judge.
Here, the defense has, and Ms. Peters in particular, has remained quite defiant, which is her right, but certainly not helpful for her lot today. And in arguing why I should impose a particular sentence, she tells me about her ailments, her loss, her struggles in life. But in reality, for those of you who may have been here earlier this morning and seen some of the folks who've occupied that chair before Ms. Peters, there could be not much in the way of a comparison in terms of the type of sympathy one would extend to Ms. Peters.
Now I'm gonna have to stop you right there, Judge. So she, throughout her life experiences, in order to plead for leniency, while at the same time continuing to be defiant that she did nothing wrong. Okay, so you're advocating for your ability to continue to behave in such a way, because you can't change your past. So if you're not going to change your mindset, you're going to cell block D.
For what she's done, they should lock her up.
I would also like to highlight the fact that this kind of plea for leniency would generally go best with, I don't know, struggling to survive, some sort of theft to support your family, some sort of self-defense, and I reacted based on the trauma of my past, not hacking a voting machine.
Those folks didn't have 4 lawyers representing them. They didn't have a team of assistants helping them. They're not getting rides in private jets all over the country. No, the people who sit in that chair suffer, generally speaking, immeasurable trauma in life, struggle mightily with alcohol abuse, substance abuse, mental health struggles, family loss. They come from broken homes. The cards they were dealt were never the cards that you were dealt, Ms. Peters. So when I hear you discuss your husband, who sadly passed away recently, your family struggles, and your son, who served our country admirably and made the ultimate sacrifice.
Now here's where I gotta break with the judge. This is one of the things that drives me up a wall, where people are able to get lesser sentences, or in many cases get off because of their relationships in the community and their reputation, which, by the way, in many cases is the thing that enabled them to commit the crimes. So because they should have known better and you expected more from them, they get less? Make that make sense. And yes, police, this applies to you too.
What you've done here and after. Your lies are well documented, and these convictions are serious. I'm convinced you would do it all over again if you could. You're as defiant as a defendant as this court has ever seen. You don't have those histories of drug and alcohol abuse. There's no lifetime of trauma, not even close to the type of mitigating circumstances I would see from many folks who sit in that chair. No, to the contrary, Ms. Peters, you are a privileged person. You are as privileged as they come. And you use that privilege to obtain power, a following, and fame. And to be sure, there's no doubt in my mind that it's exactly what you wanted, and it defies all sense of common sense to believe when you suggested to me a few moments ago that you didn't want this attention. No, you crave it, ma'am. And there is no one in this courtroom who would consider that to be anything other than the absolute truth.
Preach! Preach! Take your time, Pastor.
But to get to the point of what it is that you did here, it's my impression distinctly that you never took your job of clerking particularly seriously. You didn't complete the certification. One scandal after another followed you in your time as the clerk. And ultimately, it was a belief that the echo chamber in which you live couldn't be wrong, among other things, that led you to do what you did here.
No, don't bring it up. No. Let them fight. No, let them get it out their system.
That led you to do what you did here. This thought process, unfortunately, seems to consume so many in our country, regardless of race, gender, political affiliation, or the like, that what it is we hear and think can't possibly be wrong. There are many things in my mind that are crystal clear about this case. You are no hero, you abused your position, and you're a charlatan who used and is still using your prior position in office to peddle a snake oil that's been proven to be junk time and time again. In your world, it's all about you. But at bottom, this case was about your corrupt conduct and how no one is above the law. No one in this country has absolute power. Your position as a clerk and recorder, a constitutional position, does not provide you with a means by which to do your own investigation, to not listen to the judiciary, to not listen to the executives higher than you, to not listen to the legislature who sets the law as it may be. This is nonsense.
Now, I gotta break with you there, Judge. I appreciate what you're putting down, but it ain't hard to see where she got the idea that she didn't have to listen to anybody and that she was above the law, and because she knows better that she would be saved and sanctified by her Lord and Savior Donald Trump. I mean, really, it's very easy to see why these people move and react this way.
I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian.
And yes, that's exactly what we have unleashed in our society. Thanks, MAGA. Well done.
Our system of government can't function when people in government think that somehow, some way, the power they've been given is absolute in all respects. And that's where you fell.
So funny that he would say that in Colorado, because I believe y'all have a congresswoman who thinks exactly that.
A recent report states that Americans own 46% of the world's guns. I think we need to get our numbers up, boys and girls.
You have no respect for the checks and balances of government. You have no respect for this court. You have no respect for law enforcement. And you do not have respect for your fellow colleagues when you were a clerk and recorder who weren't lockstep in your beliefs.
And thank you for including law enforcement in that, because yes, right wing, your assertions that you are independent of the rights and responsibilities of a just society because you call it the deep state also puts you at odds with law enforcement. I know that you convinced yourself that you can simultaneously stand outside the law and back the blue, but in actuality, those are two completely competing ideas. We learned that in school a long time ago, back when schools was regulated. But I guess if you guys get your way and you kill the Department of Education, y'all won't ever have to learn that.
Indeed, just weeks before trial, you were apparently doing what I mentioned earlier, that is over at the clerk and recorder's office where you're not supposed to be, violating the protection order, by speaking to employees of that entity with your camera crew in tow.
I'm sorry, did he just say that she violated her protection order with a camera crew? She filmed herself violating the protection order? You need to give her some more time, Judge. Because that's contempt. That is contempt. It might not be, if it ain't contempt of court, it's contempt of you.
You have no qualms with violating the court's orders because you're innocent, because you didn't do anything wrong. You were just doing your job. You have no problem trying to kick an officer. Your explanation about what happened is preposterous. It's on video. You have no problem lying to officers. It's happened multiple times. They're recorded conversations. It's just more lies. No objective person believes them.
You mean to tell me that not only did she bring camera crew to watch her violate the order, but then she lied about what happened on video? So she's trying to utilize the power of video while denying the existence of video simultaneously. I'll have what she's having. Yeah. She gonna sober up quick in the yard.
At the end of the day, you cared about the jets, the podcasts, and the people fawning over you. You abdicated your position as a servant to the Constitution, and you chose you over all else. Yes, you are a charlatan, and you cannot help but lie as easy it is for you to breathe. You betrayed your oath for no one other than you. And this is what makes Miss Peters such a danger to our community. It's the position she held that has provided her the pulpit from which she can preach these lies. The undermining of our democratic process, the undermining of the belief and confidence in our election systems. It's not about questioning it. No one says you can't question, you can't ask. It's completely different. And if you don't understand that distinction, then there's nothing I can say or do here today that will change your mind.
I very much appreciate what you just said there, Judge. And I would like to throw back to something that I asserted just a moment ago when I talked about my frustration with the idea that because somebody has risen to a point in society where they have these relationships and they have this trust that people place in them is often used as a weapon in the criminal justice system in order to alleviate fault and minimize responsibility. However, when you have somebody engaging in this kind of behavior who is in those positions to affect and influence the rest of us, the ramifications are more severe of the damage that they are doing, which means they should get more.
So the damage that is caused and continue to be caused is just as bad, if not worse, than the physical violence that this court sees on an all too regular basis. And it's particularly damaging when those words come from someone who holds a position of influence like you. Every effort to undermine the integrity of our elections and public's trust in our institutions has been made by you. You've done it from that lectern the voting public provided you with. Everything you've done has been done to retain control, influence. The damage is immeasurable. And every time it gets refuted, every time it's shown to be false, just another tale is weaved. So I'll begin by saying I've considered all of those purposes of staying of an execution of a sentence. I've mentioned all of them here generally in my comments already, and I find that a stay of any sentence I impose would be wholly unwarranted. All cases have a possibility of reversal on appeal, no doubt. I'm at peace with all of the decisions I've made here. If anything, I gave you and your counsel far too much leeway at times, but the rulings I made came after much consideration, incredible amounts of internal debate, and I trust in accordance with the applicable law. I consider the sentence here, in this case, what are available to me. Probation. Community corrections wasn't requested, but it wouldn't be an option in any event, and an incarcerative sentence to the Department of Corrections.
I know what I'm voting. You Jail? Y'all jail? We say jail.
Probation's focus is rehabilitation. That is for folks who have minimal criminal histories, low LSI scores like you, Ms. Peters, but where punishment isn't really on the table. It's about putting someone back in the community who's not at risk and giving them a chance to correct those things that brought them before me in the first place. Community corrections, which again isn't available, but nevertheless I'll mention, is another option that I could still order. It's much more stringent than probation, but it's not prison. And it's for folks who have even higher needs. Again, drug addicts, alcohol abusers, and the like. And prison is for those folks where we send people who are a danger to all of us.
Yes.
Whether it be by the pen or the sword.
Both.
Or the word of the mouth.
Yes.
Prison is where folks go, where punishment is what we're focused on.
Yes.
Because the crime committed is so significant that anything less would unduly mitigate the seriousness of the same. I mentioned before there are no mental health concerns. There's no good reason why you're here, Ms. Peters, other than these are all the active decisions that you made that cost our county significantly, but also more importantly, cost you greatly, Mr. Wood, all the members of the county who worked and trusted you when you asked them to do things that they did on your behalf. It's part of your lies. The expense, the toll is immeasurable. So putting you on probation when you have zero needs that would be met by probation is the very definition of unduly depreciating the significance of what it is that you've done, the harm that you've caused our community and continue to cause. Community corrections is the same. So prison is the only place that duly meets the purposes of sentencing in this matter.
Yeah! Yeah! Drag her for filth and then close the door. More him. Give him a show.
And therefore the sentence and judgment of the court is as follows. As to counts 1 and 4, the judgment and sentence of the court is 3.5 years in the Department of Corrections. Those sentences will be concurrent to each other. As to count 2, the judgment and sentence of the court is 3.5 years consecutive to counts 1 and 4. As it relates to the misdemeanor charges, count 8 is 120 days in the Mesa County Detention Facility, concurrent to count 9 and 10, which will be 6 months in the Mesa County Detention Facility, consecutive to the prison sentence. The reason those sentences are consecutive is because those sentences are, as the prosecution stated, directly related to what it is that you did here in our community, the damage you caused this community, the breach of your oath to the electorate in Mesa County. Your sentence will be followed by 3 years of parole. You have 2 days of pre-sentence confinement credit. Anything I missed? Anything else we need to address?
Judge, I think you missed a sentencing on count 6.
Oh, I'm sorry. Count 6 is criminal impersonation. That's also consecutive. That's 15 months to the Department of Corrections.
Yeah! Anything else I missed? Yeah, she got some more jail coming. I think she parked in a handicap spot out front. Give us some more time. I got a witness who said that she was out here selling my pillows on the black market out her garage. I heard she be eating cats and dogs. More jail.
So it's 8.5 years total, plus the 6 months for a total of 9 years of incarceration.
And I think the only other thing is the cost of prosecution, Your Honor.
Is there an objection to the cost of prosecution, Mr. Case? We could set it for hearing if you need to.
What do you say when you just got beat that bad? Okay, she could pay the cost of prosecution, but she got to pay cost of defense first. So we fine with her paying the cost of prosecution, but let me slip in the back real quick and get my check.
If you need to have time to respond to it, I can give you that as well.
Yeah, we do, because we don't understand how that was calculated.
Very well. I'll give you 21 days to file an objection to the cost of prosecution. You can consult that with the prosecutor If there's an objection, we'll set it for a hearing. Nothing else. Mr. Case, anything else?
Yes, Your Honor. We have a motion previously filed for a stay, which I believe.
I just denied that.
Give this man a show. Give this man a show. Ain't no way I should be turning on my TV and watching Judge Judy falling asleep when Judge Matthew Barrett is out here saying what needed to be said and doing what needs to be done. Now, that was rough. That was rough, yet enjoyable. That was rougher than the mattresses that she gonna have to sleep on.
I have health problems that would not be treatable in the Department of Corrections. First of all, I need a magnetic mattress. I've been on that since 1995.
But this is the one point where I actually can't judge Tina Peters, because if they sentence me to 9 years in prison, I would ask for everything under the sun. Everything from foot massagers to the Pooh Bear that I had when I was 5. Don't judge. I'd be asking for blankies, pacifiers. My wish list would be out here reading like a Mark Robinson message board post.
The things that you will see in that story, those are not the words of Mark Robinson.
Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I very much appreciate the support. And as I mentioned previously, we got membership now. Yes, it was something that you guys suggested, and a suggestion that I took and moved forward with. And it's something I'm really super excited about. That's going to give me the ability to give people early access to videos and ad-free experience, and also be able to record things on the go when I'm not necessarily in my perfect environment. I have something I just want to drop in real quick. I have the ability to do that. The ability to give you guys deep dive investigation pieces, some of the stuff that may not necessarily be topical, but stuff that deserves your attention. And of course, some of the uncensored content as well, because Lord knows the kind of stuff that I have to cut out of my videos can make pieces in and of themselves. Well, now I have the ability to do all of that. So sincere thank you to everybody that has joined the channel already. I can't wait to see where this goes. Trump has people out here saying that he praised one of the worst human beings to ever live, and he chose to take her on the McDonald's front. Ronald would have ran a better campaign than this. This being run by Grimace. Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Shout out to all of our new subscribers and our members here on the channel. Here I am trying to take a couple days away from my birthday, and this is what y'all got going on? No, I refuse. I refuse to play that. I refuse.
But Arnold Palmer was all man, and I say that in all due respect to women, and I love women. But this is a guy that was all man. This man was strong and tough. And I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable. I had to say it. We have women that are highly sophisticated here.
Now, while most of you guys are focused on Arnold Palmer's half and half, I would like to acknowledge a couple of things. One, the fact that he said, I refuse to say it, and then proceeded to say it. Does he understand what refuse means? And maybe that's why he has so many lawsuits under his belt, is he just misunderstands the functional principle of the word refuse. Also, the fact that apparently the highly sophisticated one are the ones that are okay with the locker room talk. So I guess that means those that consider themselves above such conversation when they showed up to hear a political speech would be the less sophisticated women. Yeah, you sound like a protector, all right. That's for sure. I need to know who is running this campaign, because to me, it's looking like Ronald McDonald. Nah, not even Ronald, because Ronald would have ran a better campaign than this. This being run by Grimace.
Everybody.
Hey, crazy.
I'm having a lot of fun here, everybody.
Oh my God, oh my God.
Hello, everybody.
You can take this, right?
My man chose to spend his time within weeks of the election cosplaying at a McDonald's, and in doing so, opened him up for criticism for the fact that, well, as a 34-time convicted felon, that'd be a pretty hard, if not impossible, job for you to get. But President of the United States? Oh, that is just wide open. Or how about the fact that he opposed the rise in minimum wage that would have affected a great number of McDonald's employees, or the fact that he weakened their ability to unionize. See, you open yourself up to all of those things because you just had to show up to a closed McDonald's and fake serve customers. And what was all this for? What was the point of all of this? In order to try and show up Kamala Harris because she said she worked at McDonald's. You opened yourself up to all this criticism, gave us all this footage and content of exactly how your life would look if not for being gifted $400 million. All to try and show her up because she said she worked at McDonald's. Who is making the decisions? You expect me to believe that Donald Trump is pulling away in the polls when this is what he got going on? Who can even defend this?
Former President Trump was in Bucks County yesterday at the McDonald's. She actually worked at McDonald's, and he, is
Can I
trying
just
to
say something about that?
Sure.
Because I'm not able to comment on whether or not that's true, and I won't even jump into that vat of goo. But why isn't her campaign cleaning that up? Why isn't her campaign saying, look, this is a non-issue, here's a receipt or two, blah, 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 blah. She had to have paid taxes. She worked at McDonald's. I mean, I don't know. I just wonder why they're not cleaning it up.
Yeah,
but again, I don't have a dog in that race, and I can't say what's true.
I worked at the Pizza Hut, and I don't have receipts on that either.
I worked at the 7-Eleven, and I do.
A few moments later.
But my dad lectured me about what taxes would look like out of the paycheck. I mean, no, I'm too old now to have, like, all of that, and both my parents are gone, and she's about the same age I am.
I mean, they not even trying at Fox News no more. I mean, they really not even trying. What was the point of you saying that? You wearing the same outfit. This was the same show. Then you admitted it was all fake. You know what? I do want to send a shout out to one of our members, Lakina, who actually emailed me saying you need to do a Harris Faulkner piece. And you know what? She is exactly right. Y'all be on the lookout for that. And by the way, while we're giving confessions and admissions to associations with McDonald's, I would like to say that I also worked at McDonald's. I did in high school. I worked at McDonald's for one day because I found out that if you work at McDonald's, you can eat free McDonald's. And they had just come out with the crispy chicken. So I know I've dated myself, but they had just come out with the crispy chicken and I could never afford to get a crispy chicken. So I worked there for one day. For lunch, I got myself a crispy chicken extra value meal. And then I went home with the itis for the second half of the day and never came back. To be fair, that's pretty much what's happened every time I've had a crispy chicken at McDonald's. Trump has people out here saying that he praised one of the worst human beings to ever live, and he chose to take her on the McDonald's front.
He would commented more than once that
that Hitler did some good things too. And of course, if you know history, again, I think he's lacking in that. But if you know what Hitler was all about, it'd be pretty hard to make an argument that he did anything good.
That's right. Add John Kelly to the long list of military personnel who believe that he is unfit for office. But yes, don't believe them. Believe the people in the red hats and the MAGA mudflaps. If you can believe this, there's actually more.
But he leads it off with a story of an Army private named Vanessa Guillen, who was bludgeoned to death by a fellow soldier at Fort Hood in April 2020. She was the child of Mexican immigrants. Shortly after her body was found, the former president invited her family to the White House, where he offered them help with expenses and talked to reporters about it as well.
And if I can help you out with the funeral, I'll help you out. I'll help you out financially. I'll help you.
Thank you. I think the military maybe taking care of it.
Good. They'll do a military. That's good. If you need help, I'll help you out. Okay. If they need something, we'll take care. We'll make sure she is very respected.
Thank you.
Well, that was in the spring. Then, at a White House meeting, December 2020, and Goldberg's new reporting on it. Quoting again, at a certain point, according to two people present at the meeting, Trump asked, did they bill us for the funeral? Meaning the family, apparently. What did it cost? According to attendees and to contemporaneous notes of the meeting taken by a participant, an aide answered, yes, we received a bill. The funeral cost $60,000. Trump became angry. The article continues. It doesn't cost $60,000 to bury an effing Mexican. He turned to his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and issued an order, don't pay it. Goldberg continues, later that day, he was still agitated. Can you believe it, he said, according to a witness, effing people trying to rip me off.
Don't try and clean it up, Anderson Cooper. Give me that real.
According to attendees and to contemporaneous notes of the meeting taken by a participant, an aide answered, yes, we received a bill. The funeral cost $60,000. Trump became angry. Quote, it doesn't cost $60,000 to bury a fucking Mexican. He turned to his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and issued an order, quote, don't pay it. Later that day, he was still agitated. Can you believe it, he said. According to a witness, fucking people trying to rip me off. That's Donald Trump using the F word to describe a funeral that he had offered to pay for.
Now, that's what I'm talking about, Nicole Wallace. Now, you have to ask yourself, as despicable of a reaction as this would be, is it out of character for the man, given his past relationship and reverence for the military? Does it sound like this is the kind of thing that he would say?
But Frank, let me get to it. He hit me. He's not a war hero. He's a war hero. He's a war hero.
5.5 years.
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
As wild and objectionable as all of this is, there is actually one man in America who will still show up in mixed company and try and defend this.
If you're worried about Hitler and you're talking about Donald Trump, maybe open your eyes and take in what's happening on the American left in this country. So those are the Hitlers I'm worried about.
Let me address this, but I also want to keep on the subject that we're talking about.
Let me also just. If you're worried about Hitler and you're talking about Donald Trump, maybe open your eyes and take in what's happening on the American left in this country. So those are the Hitlers I'm worried about.
Let me address this, but I also want to keep on the subject that we're talking about.
Let me also just. I think deflection is all they know. At this point, I think he's playing a video game. Like, he's not actually even fully tuning in to the conversations that are being had. I think he's just trying to play a video game and just seeing exactly how far his deflection will go. It's kind of like when you go down a rabbit hole, like you get a new video game, all of a sudden time flies and you couldn't even repeat to people what you've been doing. I think that's where he's at right now, because ain't no way in the world he just sat there and tried to blame the left for words that came out of his mouth.
So I think it's an unfair attack on Trump, this minimum wage worker issue. Because
McDonald's is not the only employer in America. You know that, right? Like, there are lots of a lot of service jobs.
Am I arguing that they are?
But shouldn't he be able to answer?
You sat here and attacked him for attacking minimum wage workers because he went to McDonald's, and I just wanted to point
I
out how
didn't
wrong
attack
he
him for
was.
that.
She did not do that.
I didn't attack him for going to McDonald's. I attacked him for his actual record, which is
But
bad for the workers of
conversation,
McDonald's.
but the reason you're sitting here is because he went to McDonald's.
The
And
reason
so-
I'm sitting here is because I
But yeah,
write
we
on
had-
economic policy and I know something about the economic
Okay,
policy
I guess this is where I need to be clear.
And there you go again with the faces and the just smarmy affect. Do you think that the guests with Scott Jennings have to sign a waiver? Do you think you have to? I think you must have to sign a waiver in order to appear with a round table with him that you will keep your hands in plain sight at all times. Because ain't no way in the world he's out here talking to people like this all his life and made it to this point.
Been a champion for IVF.
He has not.
He had
I'm sorry,
absolutely
I need to
has.
interrupt.
He
I need to
absolutely
interrupt
has.
here.
You
He
don't
has
need to interrupt
abso-
because you're wrong. He
I
has
am
been a
a-
champion in the
Well,
party.
Reed, people
for
watching,
speaking for
I
IVF.
wrote about this like 2 weeks ago. You can look at
well,
his
I listen
and-
to what he says all the time. He
I
has
look at his
read
record.
his statement in the middle.
I look at his
You
record.
believe him when he says he's a
Yes,
father of
I do.
IVF? When he says he's a father of let me let IVF? Catherine
Okay,
finish because
okay.
Catherine
I don't
Okay.
get you, but go ahead.
No,
Sure.
I mean, if you're having a back and forth, let's
look
let her
at
finish.
his actual record. For example, his recent statement saying, "Oh, we're going to make insurers cover IVF." You know that he led the initiative to repeal Obamacare, which got rid of all essential health benefits, all requirements for insurers to cover any sort of health care. That would include IVF.
All right.
Beyond that, there was a bill that Democrats proposed to protect IVF.
A sham vote, by the way.
We gotta
Now
go.
I need to
Guys,
because I
guys,
want to
we're-
interrupt
we're-
because it did not get
we
rid
are
of
at the
all
end
essential
of the
health
show, guys.
protections.
We gotta go. I'm sorry to say.
If you're scoring at home, first he deflected the IVF claims, then he was hit with facts. And as opposed to forcing him to answer said facts, Abby decides to go the break. I think they got a two-man game. I think they work in a two-man game because ain't no way she just saved him by the commercial like she just did. I just saw it in real time. And I must ask you, Mr. Jennings, didn't you learn from Mitch McConnell or Lindsey Graham or any of the other cabinet members or senior staff that are facing charges or not endorsing Trump this time around that this is the way that's going to go? It's like when you grew up and they just say, "Oh no, don't you hit the block. Don't you hang out with them. You just going to end up dead or in jail." Defending Trump is the new dead or in jail. Like defending Trump is the new, nah, you know what? That's Now, why don't you just find a trade or something like that? Like I don't understand how you think there's still light at the end of this tunnel. And that's why he gravitates to people who are already on the wrong side of the law.
I know the media is going to call me crazy, me and Trump crazy for having me speaking here, but I want to make this clear. We are not. They are. You know Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, do you really know they want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom? Is that crazy? That's really insane, right? And by the way, tampon Tim Walz, he isn't a real football coach. He could never guard me. I love you guys. I make all you guys the crackers of the days today. Make some noise for yourself.
Wait a minute. I think I've seen that before. And if you're wondering, Tampon Tim could have actually helped you with those, issues that you're facing, AB.
And let's us start saying the quiet part out loud about Donald Trump of where he's been. J.D. Vance said it. J.D. Vance is the one who said this. He said, well, the voters don't really like the racist part of Trump. I didn't say it. He said it. He knows him best. But look, When Donald Trump is talking about bringing back stop and frisk policies and things like that, those are harassment that went on to the black community, specifically black males, and put a disproportionate number of them into incarceration and sent back an entire generation. We are not going back to those policies. We are not going back. You know they want to make false choices. Let's be very clear here. Public safety and civil rights can go hand in hand. You don't have to choose one over the other.
And the lesson in the world of Antonio Browns, be a Tim Walz. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Good news for all of my members. The badges and emoji are finally here. And I want to hear from you. What do you think about them? How do you feel? Send me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. And if you want to take them out for a spin, just show up to one of our premieres or one of the lives, or even just drop a comment and let those new emoji fly. And if you haven't joined yet, the link to membership is in the description.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, here I was enjoying a beautiful weekend of MAGA melting down.
To Laura Loomer, and why is he bringing her around with him?
Well, as President Trump said yesterday, this individual does not work for the campaign. She's simply a supporter of the president, and he doesn't.
Does he denounce those statements specifically?
President Trump denounced those statements yesterday when he said he does not agree with all of the comments that this individual has made. President Trump went to the
Green. Should we expect then, given what you just told me, that we won't be seeing any more of Laura Loomer on the campaign trail with President Trump?
Look, as I said repeatedly now, President Trump does not agree with all of the statements that were made by this individual. President Trump has been...
Is that a no? That Laura Loomer won't be traveling?
I will leave it to President Trump, but as I have said to you, she is not a part of this campaign. She is not an official staffer. She is a supporter.
F you, Taylor Swift.
And I mean, really enjoying it.
We are losing our country because of big tech election interference. And I am pleading with the Republican Party to please start taking this issue seriously. Please. Because the American people deserve representation. And that's why I ran for Congress in 2020. It's why I ran for Congress in 2022. And it's why I'm going to keep fighting for all of you.
When I get an alert out of nowhere,
some pretty important breaking news to share. And this is per a source familiar. I'm reading the release. Shots were heard on Trump's golf course where he was playing in West Palm Beach, Florida. Trump was out golfing when it took place and was immediately rushed to a safe place. He is safe and fine. This is all per a source familiar with this. And I just want to note NBC News has not yet independently verified that there were gunshots fired while Trump was at the golf course. They are trying to confirm that right now. You're seeing the official statement from Stephen Chung, the campaign director. It reads, President Trump is safe following gunshots in his vicinity. No further details at this time. So again, we are getting word that he was out golfing and was immediately rushed to a safe place. This took place at his golf course in West Palm Beach, Trump International Golf Course.
The former president posted on social media last night that he was rushed to safety during the incident, stating, quote, "It was certainly an interesting day." He also thanked Secret Service and law enforcement, writing in all capital letters, quote, "The job was done absolutely outstanding." Officials say Trump was playing a round of golf near his Mar-a-Lago home and around 2 p.m. when Secret Service agents spotted a rifle with a scope in the bushes outside the course.
And they spotted it. What happens is that the golf course, for those who know the area, the golf course is on two very active streets. There's a huge perimeter. And so what the Secret Service do, not only now, but when Donald Trump was president, they would advance the holes and they would go a couple of holes ahead of the president to make sure that the coast was clear. And as you'll hear here, even though some of the press conference wasn't as clear as it should have been, left some questions open. What happened was the Secret Service went a couple of holes ahead of the president, former president, and they saw a rifle sticking out. They fired shots, and then the man ran away, and he got caught soon after. But the Secret Service, though, did as horrible of a job as they did in Butler. As Lindsey Graham said, they're overworked, they're exhausted, they don't have a life of their own, they need more resources. And yes, they do need more resources. In this case, though, as Donald Trump said, they did an outstanding job. Something I haven't said of the Secret Service, certainly after Butler, in a very long time.
Well, take a listen.
Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes. He jumped into a black Nissan, and I took a picture of the vehicle and the tank, which was great. In the bushes where this guy was is a AK-47 style rifle with a scope, 2 backpacks which were hung on the fence that had ceramic tile in them, and a GoPro, which he was going to take pictures of.
So the tip from that witness helped lead to an arrest. The man was taken into custody and was identified as 58-year-old Ryan Wesley Ruth, according to 3 senior law enforcement officials. His identity was not released during yesterday's news conference.
Now,
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
well, you know what? Let's go off what we know. Well, for one thing, mysteriously, Ralph's social media accounts started disappearing, which is extremely weird. I mean, why scrub the records? He is who he is. I mean, do they scrub social media for other crimes? Now, let me find out that I've been working for years trying to get stuff scrubbed off the internet when all I had to do was pick up a drunken disorderly. Now, let's just say he was a diehard Kamala Harris supporter. Would it really make a difference in the aftermath? You already blame Democrats for everything from gas prices.
We had $1.89 gas under Donald Trump. It cost me $130 to fill up my SUV 2 days ago. People can't afford life anymore.
To shoplifting?
And this is a city, I spent a lot of time in Europe, that is falling apart. I went into literally CVS the other day, and you can't buy Tylenol because it's locked behind these glass counters because there's so much theft and there's so much looting, there's so much homelessness and crime. But yet their attention is going after Donald Trump.
To the current state of bacon.
Because they can't buy bacon.
Bacon is quadrupled. So people can buy bacon again.
They can't afford bacon. It's gone up many times, right? Byron likes bacon. Bacon, it's gone up 100%. Bacon has gone up 5 times. Bacon went up 4 times. Bacon is up 79%. Bacon is up 3 and 4 times. Bacon is through the roof. They're all bacon where it went up 4 and 5 times. I said, I'd love to have some lovely bacon, darling, but I just had a hot dog and it was very good.
We see how y'all reacted the first time.
I'm really disgusted because here's why. Just earlier today on a fundraising phone call, and I'll quote, I want to make sure I get it right. Joe Biden told his donors that it's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Well, guess what? That is exactly what someone did today with their rifle as they attempted to assassinate President Trump.
And you wonder why we didn't get your back with Loomer. This doesn't represent the GOP. Oh, really?
I'd like to clarify what you just said. Do you believe that President Joe Biden bears any responsibility for what happened today, or does the responsibility for the shooting lie with the shooter?
I do believe that Joe Biden is responsible for the shooting today, Kyle Clark.
You want to know why there was an assassination attempt against President Trump?
It turns out when you create a climate where you say that the election of your rival will lead legitimately in real time to the end of the republic, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, they found a way to squarely blame the Democrats for the first assassination attempt, despite literally every single piece of evidence available, including their own words.
I better win, or you're going to have problems like we've never had. We may have no country left. It may be our last election. You want to know the truth? People have said that. This may be our last election. You got to get out and vote. This could be our last election.
Which means even though they were absolutely to blame for raising the temperature and throwing out the rhetoric that created the context for the first shooting in Pennsylvania, well, one thing we know, their reaction since then means they're really responsible for raising the temperature and throwing out the rhetoric that created the backdrop for this one.
November 5th is the most important election this country's ever had. Because if we don't win it, I don't know that there'll be another election.
His apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio. This weekend, there were new bomb threats in that town. Our Maggie Vespa is in Columbus, Ohio, with more.
And this was from the same day.
We need to talk about something. This is dangerous. Him doing this is dangerous. Trump is fully aware of how loyal his base is and the fact that they are prone to violence and violent rhetoric. He has spoken out against Republicans in his party that have spoken out against him, and his base has made them their enemy. They have threatened their lives, shown up at their homes. Nancy Pelosi's husband was literally attacked because Nancy wasn't home. You had people on January 6th screaming, "Hang Mike Pence," literally threatening members of Congress behind glass because they could not enter the halls of Congress. He knows how dangerous his rhetoric is when he expresses someone is his enemy. And he just publicly posted in all caps, "I hate Taylor Swift," making her an enemy. This should concern you. And I am holding on to hope that Taylor Swift has incredible security and that she can continue to live a normal life in spite of this horrible human being putting a target on her back, because that is what that message was. And it's a reminder that if Taylor Swift, who is so well known, such a public figure, can put her life quite literally on the line, which is exactly what she did by endorsing Harris and Walz, we can do our part and vote.
Now, because the internet is forever, we know that Ryan Wesley Routh was not black, he was not trans, he was not an immigrant. He was also devoutly anti-vax. We also know he's somebody who voted for Trump in 2016, later saying, "I and the world hoped that President Trump would be different and better than the candidate, but we were all greatly disappointed, and it seems you are getting worse and devolving." He wrote that on X, also adding, "I'll be glad when you're gone." He then went to Tulsi Gabbard for the 2020 election. I would love to hear Tulsi comment on this. Huh? Oh, she literally only comes out to slam Kamala and go at Democrat. That's all? That's all she does? But these are her people. He later soured on Gabbard, which is inevitable, for her alignment with Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin, writing, "Why don't you go and join Putin and Trump and be their third wheel?" Routh also mentioned Trump in his book. This man wrote a book. He wrote, and it says he got a company. He wrote a book and he started a company in 2018 called Camp Box Honolulu in Hawaii, which builds storage units in tiny houses. There was a story in the newspaper that said he donated a structure for homeless people. So he wrote a book and he owns a company and he got kids. Ralph's eldest son told CNN that he was a loving and caring father and an honest, hardworking man. Quote, "I don't know what's happened in Florida, and I hope things have just been blown out of proportion, because from the little I've heard, it doesn't sound like the man I know to do anything crazy, much less violent." So this man wrote a book, owns a company, and has kids that apparently think fondly of him. I really got to level up. Yeah, I ain't been doing nearly as much as I should be. This man got a book and a company with kids. Ralph also mentioned Trump in his book, which appears on Amazon without a publisher listed, but it is titled Ukraine's Unwinnable War, the Fatal Flaw of Democracy, World Abandonment, and the Global Citizen, Taiwan, Afghanistan, North Korea, and the End of Humanity. Did he write anything beyond the title? Because that was a whole lot. He eventually threw his 2020 Democratic presidential support behind Bernie Sanders, saying Sleepy Joe, who stands for nothing, no plans, no ideas, just as limp as Hillary. We also know he has an extensive, and I mean extensive, criminal history. Records show more than 100 criminal counts have been filed against Ralph just in the state of North Carolina. He was convicted in 2002 of possessing a weapon of mass destruction, according to online North Carolina Department of Adult Correction records. He barricaded himself inside a business with a machine gun in Greensboro. Then in 2003, he was sentenced for driving without a license, carrying a concealed weapon, and hit and run. Then in 2010, he was convicted of possessing stolen goods. He was given probation for all of these charges. Well, it must be nice. I have a question. Despite all of that, he was still able to secure weapons. So I think this would be a great time to bring up people's access to guns. I mean, this is somebody who already has a mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction charge, and you said over 100 counts. So if this is the kind of person that can get a weapon, then perhaps President Trump would have been safer with some common sense. No, we're not doing that. No. Yeah, because if we didn't do nothing in Appalachia and people actually lost their lives. So we definitely not going to do nothing now. We also know he was filmed by Newsweek in 2022 about his effort to recruit mercenaries to fight in Ukraine.
Tell me who you are and why are you here?
56 from the U.S., from North Carolina originally, so live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil.
And the New York Times wrote a profile on Ralph back in 2023. You know those make peace with MAGA articles they roll out every few months? What are the odds? We also know that President Trump's schedule isn't publicly available, and this golf outing was apparently a last-minute decision, which raises the question, how did Ralph know that he was going to be out there? Now, Deep MAGA is going with a mole inside the Secret Service or the DHS because the call coming from inside the house remains too painful to even imagine.
Once you get on the job, ladies and gentlemen, it's not there. If there was an agent who has been infiltrated and compromised, folks, it is almost impossible that the Secret Service would know. Here, thank you. Put that up on the screen. I'm going to tell you this story again. Media people, get your mother pens out. I was there. Look at this story in The Guardian from 2018. Suspected Russian spy found working at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow.
Now, this is where things get weird. He actually commented on the Trump rally in Pennsylvania back in July. Ralph encouraged President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris to visit those wounded in the shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania, saying, quote, Trump will never do anything. And it gets weirder. People have been able to unearth a BlackRock commercial in which Ralph appears.
The purpose of the action is to appeal to world leaders, world organization.
However, it also appears the Butler shooter also appeared in a promotional video associated with BlackRock. This one was an Azov Battalion promotional video.
My name is Brian DeLallo.
I teach AP and honors economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do. I hope when I retire someday, they say, that guy made this place a special place to come to school.
Two last things I know: that conspiracy theorists are going to be busy with this one for months. The last thing I know is that most of us, most sensible citizens of this country, should actually feel a debt of gratitude to the Secret Service for moving when they did, and that President Trump is in fact safe, because we want the referendum on Trumpism in November that he deserves. And the last thing we want is for him to be turned into a martyr. Oh, we up. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and especially those of you that have liked and subscribed to the page. Did y'all know I had a website? I know, it's so kind of old-fashioned these days. Yes, I have a website, reesewaters.com. There you'll find my most recent work, but also my past work if you want to know a little bit more about me. You'll also find a portal where you could sign up for my newsletter. You could also sign up by sending me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. You could also send me any suggestions for ideas, something I need to take a look at, or you just want to say hello. And by the way, if you go to the website now, you'll find a little something special. That's right, we got merch. There's mugs there, there's t-shirts there, there's hats there, repping street politics, troubled waters, and of course, Racists of the Week. Where would we be without Racists of the Week? I don't know that I would have any content. Welcome to a special two-part edition of Racists of the Week. Here's the first. This is where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union and also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, and definitely leave me any possible suggestions for nominees in the comments. You can email me at reese@reesewaters.com. Today's nominee, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Now in part two, I'll do a little debating about whether or not J.D. Vance was the worst vice presidential nominee in U.S. history. There was this.
Are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans?
And this.
Look, I love my wife so much. I love her because she's who she is. Obviously, she's not a white person.
And this.
And this is one of the great tricks that I think the sexual revolution pulled on the American populace, which is this idea that, like, well, okay, these marriages were fundamentally, they were maybe even violent, but certainly they were unhappy. And so getting rid of them and making it easier for people to shift spouses like they change their underwear, that's going to make people happier in the long term. And maybe it worked out for the moms and dads, though I'm skeptical, but it really didn't work out for the kids.
And then there was this.
Is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
They've been trying to run away from that for weeks. I guess Sarah Huckabee Sanders never got the message.
So my kids keep me humble. Unfortunately, Kamala Harris doesn't have anything keeping her humble.
Oh, those women are going to love that. I guess the news didn't make it all the way to Arkansas. Oh, apparently it did. That literally needs to be its own video. There is way too much to list, but I woke up on Sunday, as I've woken up every Sunday since the RNC, to, did you hear what JD Vance said? Did you hear what JD did now? You're not gonna believe JD Vance.
Hello, I would like to order some normal donuts, please. Oh, sorry, you scared me. Ha ha ha, fear, one of the 3 human emotions. Yeah, I guess. I see several of these are seasoned with some sort of colorful pellets. You mean sprinkles? Stinkles? Sprinkles. Are sprinkles some sort of gay thing? Is that a gay donut? I don't think so. I would like some straight donuts, please. Do you have any that are gray or maybe navy blue? I like this khaki donut here. You mean the plain one? Yes, one khaki plain, please. Hey, man. It's okay if you've never been to a donut shop before. I love to be in donut shop where regulars like us are doing commerce and friendship. Sure. Tell me more about the hole in the donut. What could I... Is there anything I can put in there?
Now, here's what I already know. I know that there's been bomb threats in Springfield, Ohio, mysterious fires in apartments that housed migrants. I know there's been a bunch of racist posts, including by elected officials, and now N-bombs.
I think it was in that interview where Dana Bash says, the police have gone through 11 months of recordings of calls, and they've only found 2 Springfield residents calling to complain about Haitian migrants taking geese from ponds.
I get to all that in part 2. The link to that will be in the description when it's all ready. Now, surely JD Vance will have no choice but to walk this whole thing back. The crazy thing is, he already did the night of the debate. But because MAGA has poor comprehension skills, and yes, they are quite poor.
You haven't got a choice. It is President Trump and President Trump only. He's strong enough. Who could have put up with what he did the last 4 years? Nobody. It's almost like he's not even altogether human, as if God has got him by the shoulders and saying, world, this is the man that will save you. He will save us.
Here we are, sitting here having to talk these people down from reacting to something that JD Vance has already said was bull.
Springfield, Ohio is facing a 4th day of threats over the claims that have forced a college, hospitals, and schools to lock down. Meanwhile, Springfield police say they received 2 calls about Proud Boys marching through the city. Here's how Donald Trump responded to the controversy over Haitians who, I want to note, are in the U.S. legally.
I don't know what happened with the bomb threats. I know that it's been taken over by illegal migrants, and that's a terrible thing that happened. Springfield was this beautiful town, and now they're going through hell.
Ah, yes, the hell that can only be created by your own people reacting to your words. And oh, that whole thing about illegal migrants? Yeah, we'll get to that.
Here with me now is Republican Vice Presidential nominee JD Vance, who represents Ohio in the U.S. Senate. Thank you for being here, sir.
I gotta stop you right there, Dana Bash. He don't represent nothing but frat boys, Maybelline, and Smokey Eye. He definitely not representing Ohio.
So the mayor of Springfield, Ohio, Rob Rue, said, quote, all these federal politicians that have negatively spun our city, they need to know they're hurting our city. And it was their words that did it. Before Donald Trump talked about eating dogs and cats on a debate stage, it was you, Senator, who first elevated this baseless rumor. These are your constituents. So why are you putting them at risk by continuing to spread claims about Haitian immigrants, despite officials in your state saying that there's no evidence and pleading for you to stop?
Well, Dana, first of all, what's putting the residents of Springfield at risk, which was a town completely ignored by the American media until Donald Trump and I started surfacing some of these concerns, is that they can't afford housing, they can't afford health care. The schools have been overwhelmed, the hospitals have been overwhelmed.
Oh, is that what Donald Trump said? Here I am thinking that he said they were eating the cats and dogs, but...
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating
They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
But he was talking about housing? Is that what I get you? Oh, so that must be the deeper meaning of all these memes. Oh, I get it. So all the cat memes are about that they can't afford housing and the conditions in Springfield. Now I see why they say that art is in the eye of the beholder, because I wouldn't have got that.
My constituents have brought approximately a dozen separate concerns to me. 10 of them are verifiable and confirmable, and a couple of them I talk about because my constituents are telling me firsthand that they're seeing these things.
Ooh, JD Vance, I'm gonna have to stop you right there. You said they were verifiable and confirmable, not that they were verified and confirmed. You also said concerns. Is that a euphemism for dog eating? Because I've had a lot of concerns in my lifetime and none of them involved, dog eating.
And of course, many of the things that the media says are completely baseless have since been confirmed. For example, I was told, Dana, that by the American media, that it was baseless that migrants were capturing the geese from the local park pond and eating them. And yet there are 911 calls from well before this ever became a viral sensation of people complaining about that exact thing happening. So my attitude is listen to my constituents. Sometimes they're going to say things that people don't like, but they're saying things that people don't like because their town has been overwhelmed, and it's my job to try to fight for them and to protect them. Kamala Harris opened the border, and now these people are suffering.
You want, all right, you got it.
Senator, I have to go through several things that you just said. First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims.
Well, see, you got to go back beyond 11 months. You got to go, this goes beyond 11, The migrants weren't there then? They sent a migrant scout team. They sent a migrant scout team dressed like U.S. citizens, dressed like white folks, dressed like you and me. And they were the ones that were there with the geese. You got to go beyond the 11 months, but it was still the migrants, though.
Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things.
But just because it happened in a different city, it originated, though, in Springfield, because they ran away. They got chased and they ran away to the other part of the state. So the jurisdiction of the crime is still Springfield, even though it happened in the other part of the state, because those animals belong in Springfield. Now, just listen to what she just told you. A conservative activist who put a bounty out for verified information on these acts actually happening. Somebody who has a vested interest in proving it to be correct could not find any evidence. And if you think there was any evidence of this, we wouldn't have any names and places. We wouldn't just be in this generic netherworld of confirmed reports and it. No, we would have some facts. But where we at and what we got? Memes.
And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed, nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio needs help. But you're not just a bystander, you're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
See, Dana, what you have to understand is there is no win in us being constructive at this particular point in time. This campaign is on fire, and I am the VP nominee of a man who said that his opponent was trying to give transgender operations to illegal aliens in prison.
Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison.
Pretty much all we got is racist dog whistles. There is no win in us being constructive. Us trying to help assimilate the Haitians isn't something that we could platform our racism with.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting.
Ooh, he went with disgusting. Now, does he think that because he used the word disgusting, all of a sudden that absolves him of the words that came out of his mouth? Like, I'm curious. That, like, did he think that was like the star in Mario? Like, all of a sudden you're innocent because you used the words disgusting? This is rock throwing and hand hiding 101. Let's see, JD Vance, were there bomb threats in the town before the debate? Case closed.
The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies.
Now, I want you to pay very close attention to what JD Vance just said. He said, I am responding to the needs of my constituents, which is already nonsense. That's why we have people on Capitol Hill that are calling for him to step down. But listen to who he's considering his constituents, his supporters, MAGA. You know who he's not considering? The everyday residents of Springfield who may or may not be involved in politics. The Kamala Harris supporters, the Haitians, the black people who get mistaken as Haitians. Oh yeah, those aren't constituents who deserve any consideration whatsoever.
Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They are in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further caused terrible migration into this country.
I have a question. JD Vance, did you just challenge whether or not they were here legally by asserting that you disagreed with the law? So your challenge of whether or not they're here legally is that you disagree with the law. So if you determine they're not here legally, then they're not here legally. Is that what you're telling me? Because it sounds a lot like if I don't agree with the law, I don't have to acknowledge or respect it. Is that what we're doing? Oh, you know what? I forgot about Trump being the presidential nominee. That is absolutely what we're doing.
Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions.
I got this one. Well, see, the difference is that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz didn't require a fact check immediately after they appear in public.
I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this?
That he has made today. There has yet to be a public J.D. Vance appearance where I leave saying, you know, I feel better about him. Not one. And shockingly, the Republicans feel the exact same way.
So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes, I am. And I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them.
Points to Dana Bash, because that is multiple times now that she has interjected the racist undertones, or let's just call it straight up racism, involved with these assertions about them eating dogs and cats, and the kind of racism that Trump walks right into with this kind of talk.
The Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans. I said, no, they're not humans. They're not humans. They're animals.
That is fascinating. They are animals, and the ones coming from the southern border, they are animals, but not the ones coming from the European. No, they are not. Not the English or the Irish. None of that. But those animals. You got it. S-hole countries.
Aiden Clark, who is an 11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant. You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said to you.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump, they have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio. I will listen to them one more time to hear their apologies.
Senator, he's asking for you to apologize. Will you?
Dana, first of all, my heart goes out to the Clark family, and I don't bring their son's name up because they've clearly expressed a preference for politicians to not bring their son's name up. I wish them all the best. I can't believe what kind of a tragedy they've experienced, but I'm still going to keep on talking about what the migrants have done to Springfield, Ohio, and what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio.
So, no, I am so sorry for your loss, and I can't imagine what you must be going through on the day of his funeral, but we scheduled this party weeks in advance. My side piece is here, and I'm gonna get it in.
If I have to,
But it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast.
One more time for those in the back.
If I have to,
But it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast.
The man just went and said it. What are we doing?
You just said
We
that
ought
you're
to be
creating
talking
a
about
story.
public policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you
Yes.
created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not accurate.
Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents.
In other words, nothing that anybody could ever verify. Thank you for playing. So happy that his concern for the lives of the people in Springfield, especially the brown ones, is such that he's willing to run with firsthand accounts of the concerns of my constituents. And by the way, I actually run down exactly how all this came to be. And the second part of this, we're talking about a deleted Facebook post, a debunked geese in Columbus, and a woman that mutilated a cat in Canton, places that are also not Springfield. and none of whom were Haitian migrants. The degree of racism and utter disregard that it takes to run with these kinds of claims on a national stage, even posting memes repeatedly with absolutely no disregard for how this affects people's lives, needs to be studied. Of course, it'll be a while before we get to it because we'll have to work through all the other racism that gets thrown at us.
Do you condemn the Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not. I'm married to a non-white person. I don't like these people, but I think that we have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy. Well, what is the implication, Dana? I actually love to have this conversation right now live on air.
Right.
What is the implication when you say you calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat? You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield? Don't you realize you're engaged in basic propaganda to silence the concerns of American citizens?
I was quoting.
Ooh, that was a whole lot of Mad Libs. Sound and fury signifying absolutely nothing, but points to coming down to Donald Trump's linguistic level with the whole shut up thing. The implication is pretty clear. She hasn't moved off of her point or her rhetoric, nor should she. If you had an above MAGA comprehension level, you wouldn't be asking this question. I would expect you to, given your education, but you know, you are who you hang with. How you just gonna accuse me of stealing money out your purse after you found it in my jeans? What is the implication? Just what is the implication of 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
I was quoting the actual mayor of Springfield, Ohio, begging after the bomb threats, begging federal officials, to please stop putting negative attention on his city. And I'm not talking about the policies. I'm not talking about the very real challenges that Springfield has. I'm talking about baseless rumors about Haitians eating dogs and cats. And that, after that was said on a debate stage, that is when these bomb threats started. And that is a fact.
Funny thing is, we know when this was said on the debate stage, and we could actually track all of the destruction and chaos. And I don't know if he's aware. I don't know if he knows that we could literally track these things. Not like your claims from your constituents, your firsthand accounts. Like, we actually have evidence of this.
The Springfield mayor, he's dealing with a lot of terrible things. I certainly sympathize with the guy, and we're going to try to help him out. But he did not accuse me of inciting a bomb threat. He just didn't. And if we're going to take the firsthand accounts of people who are on the ground in Springfield, why don't you bring on some of the people on your program who say that the migrants are eating their pets?
Why don't you produce one, J.D. Vance? You mean to tell me that you got all this time to post out memes, but you don't have time to actually get anybody on record to say this happened? You crazy. Y'all crazy.
You're applying a double standard here. You're saying if one person accuses J.D. Vance, I'm going to take that person's word as the gospel truth,
you have somebody
even
whose
if you
name
misrepresent it. If you have another person who's saying they're eating the cats, you're going to completely ignore them, attack them, silence them, and harass them. That double standard is why that people don't trust the media and why we're not talking about public policy 51 days out from a presidential election.
So the double standard is that we are trusting the authorities there in relaying exactly what's happening in Springfield, things that they can actually verify, but not trusting your firsthand account from constituents that not even you are willing to go on record with. Now, you might be wondering, all of these claims and frothing up your base into a fury about this random town in Ohio. What was the point of all of this? Well, I'm glad you asked.
J.D. Vance would very much like you to stop talking and thinking about his constant sliming of childless cat ladies that include women like Taylor Swift and some in her army of fans, many of whom are of voting age. He would like us to stop talking about his party's religious fanaticism and their determination to ban abortion nationwide using the tactics written down in Project 2025. They fear that they will lose the election in 50 days because women are so disgusted by James David Vance and Donald Trump that they won't vote for them. So what better dead cat to throw onto the middle of the stage than forcing the media to instead focus on Haitian immigrants who JD and Trump are demonizing as unhuman beasts lurking outside your door waiting to steal your cats and dogs so they can eat them. Did I mention that JD blurbed a book by the Pizzagate conspiracy promoter and right-wing lunatic Jack Posobiec that's titled Unhumans? What better way to replace the embarrassing memes about JD's cat lady fixation and his weird possible amorous relationship with couches than to get Americans to instead post memes about Haitians eating the dogs and cats?
One look at those most recent polls and it becomes abundantly clear. We are in that portion of the game where you start bringing out trick plays, going for it on fourth down and shooting from half court. That is where MAGA is at with the 2024 election. And you know what? You love to see it. Yeah, you absolutely, you love to see the level of desperation. However, I do have a deep amount of concern for the people in Springfield that are affected by all of this. Fortunately, they're holding firm.
Yo, we out here, Springfield, Ohio. Let's dispel all this bullshit, all these rumors, all these lies that you guys are hearing. None of the Haitians is doing none of this bullshit. They can't drive. We will admit to that. But none of the bullshit y'all hear. Don't believe what you hear in the media. Don't believe what you hear Trump say, the news say. No Haitians are stealing people's animals, cats, dogs, geese, ducks, none of that, eating them. That's bullshit, so don't believe it. I'm right here in Springfield, Ohio. Look, Springfield done this. See that water tower right there? The water tower says Springfield, Clark County, Ohio. Trust me, I'm in these streets. I'm in these streets every day. I deal with people every single day. Every day. None of this bullshit's going on.
As for you, Donald Trump and JD Vance, congratulations. You are our Racist of the Week nominee. Of course, if you have somebody that you would like to nominate, you can go ahead and put it in the comments. You can email me at reese@reesewaters.com. And make sure you check out part 2. That'll be dropping shortly. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and especially those of you that have liked and subscribed to the page. Did y'all know I had a website? I know, it's so kind of old-fashioned these days. Yes, I have a website, reesewaters.com. There you'll find my most recent work, but also my past work if you want to know a little bit more about me. You'll also find a portal where you could sign up for my newsletter. You could also sign up by sending me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. You could also send me any suggestions for ideas, something I need to take a look at, or you just want to say hello. And by the way, if you go to the website now, you'll find a little something special. That's right, we got merch. There's mugs there, there's t-shirts there, there's hats there, repping street politics, troubled waters, and of course, Racist of the Week. Where would we be without Racist of the Week? I don't know that I would have any content.